In today's Daily Hustle, I want to continue our two-part series called The Age of Disruption. We live in this age right now that I call the age of disruption, where everything's being disrupted, everything is turbulent, and everything is changing. And yesterday we talked about how we're changing from an industrial age model of work to a technological age model of work. And those who don't learn the new way are going to be left behind. That's the bottom line. That's frankly one of the reasons I'm doing this video series, The Daily Hustle, and one of the reasons that I'm doing my membership site is to get people prepared to move from the traditional work world to this new technological world. That's why I'm doing everything that I'm doing. I want to sound the alarm, and I want to be sure that everyone knows that this change is happening right now under our very noses, and many people are not recognizing it. So, in today's part 2 of the Age of Disruption, I want to talk about a big word that really means something very simple. The word is disintermediation. Okay? Now, disintermediation, if I put it very simply, means removing the middleman. Okay, so let's talk about this. One of the first areas of disintermediation in the modern age that we live in was in the area of music. The CD was kind of the common way that we bought music. We would buy CDs. Prior to that, we would buy cassette tapes. Prior to that, we would buy 8-track tapes and so on, right? But the CD was like the standard for a long time. And then we were able to stream music from the internet. Now, why did this happen? Simply because bandwidth increased, computer speeds increased, audio cards and whatnot, all the technology increased so that people could now stream music from the internet. Internet speeds increased, everything increased, right? Everything got better technological wise. Then what happened was Napster came along and it really disrupted the music industry. And there was a big tussle between musicians and Napster because Napster was kind of giving it away for free instead of paying royalties on that music. So that was one of the first, at least in our modern age. I'm sure there have been others, but that was one of the more notable ones. Then what happened to video? Okay, we used to, if you were a member of Netflix, somewhere around in the 90s, you used to order your Netflix DVDs, and Netflix would ship you the DVD in those little red envelopes, and you would pop the DVD in, watch the movie, and then you would return the DVD back to a mailbox, right? Now that sounds so ancient, but it really wasn't that long ago when we were doing that. Now you get to stream video on Netflix, watch it on your big screen TV. You don't have to mail any DVDs back and whatnot, and that is now a big change. Well, what happened with CDs and DVDs? What happened with CDs was there used to be something called record stores or music stores. And this was where you went to buy music. You would go and buy records on vinyl. And by the way, vinyl's coming back, but you would buy records on vinyl and you would buy CDs, physical CDs at your local record store, right? That physical store got wiped out by streaming of music. What happened with video rentals? We used to have Blockbuster Video. We used to have local video stores where you would go and you would rent DVDs, right? And prior to that, VHS. So the VHS was disrupted by DVDs, and the DVDs were disrupted by streaming. Now, why did it take a while for video to be streamable? Because video requires so much more bandwidth, a much better graphics card, all these things that are required. So it took video a little longer to be disrupted, but it got disrupted. Let's look at Amazon.com as an example, okay? Amazon is disrupting the world of retail. There are tons and tons of companies that are going out of business, and sometimes you'll read it in the article, sometimes they won't say it in the article, but when they do say the reason for them going out of business, it's 95% of the time that they cannot compete with online. They cannot compete with Amazon.com. Some of these articles will state it plainly that it is Amazon.com that they could not compete with, and others will just say they cannot compete with e-commerce sites and online marketing. We see retail stores going by the wayside, becoming dinosaurs, and we see online stores growing like crazy. In fact, Amazon recently reported that they had a 30-some% increase in people who sold $100,000 a year or more on their site on Amazon.com in the fourth quarter of 2016. So everything is going streaming, everything's going digital, everything's going to Amazon, where it's more digital than retail stores, more physical. Everything is moving. You see this disintermediation. We're cutting out the middleman. Because before, we would have to go to a store that was a middle person, a middleman, right? They would buy from a wholesaler. Then they would put that merchandise on their shelves. We would go there and we would buy at retail. Guess what's happening on Amazon now? The wholesalers are now selling on Amazon. They're marking their products up, but not nearly as much as they would have to if they sold to a retailer who then marked it up again a second time. So that's cutting out the middleman. Streaming is cutting out the middleman. Let me give you another example. Uber. Okay, I've never, taken an Uber. I've never ridden on Uber or anything like that. But Uber is a situation where you're cutting out the middleman. In that case, it would be the middleman of taxis and other modes of transportation. You're going direct to another fellow human being who says, hey, I'll be an Uber driver. They take that on, they get paid directly, and now you've cut out another middleman. How about Airbnb? Okay, Airbnb is where you can rent homes all around the country, all around the world, directly from the individual who owns the home, right? Normally, you would go and stay at a hotel, and you would pay exorbitant hotel fees. Everything's expensive. Why? Because they own the hotel. There's a lot of overhead in a hotel. There's paying the people who maintain the hotel. There's paying the clerks, everyone, right? Well, instead, what if you just pay somebody that owns a home to live at their home for a week? Wouldn't that be a lot cheaper? Absolutely. So there's another disintermediation, getting rid of the middleman. Okay, and you could go on and on as you start thinking about where middlemen are being cut out, where the profit is being cut out of the middle and being given to the provider, and the savings being passed on to the consumer. This is disintermediation that's happening. Let me give you one that I'm involved in, and that is online teaching. We are at the very beginning of this trend, okay? It's called EdTech, educational technology. Now, the very beginning of this trend is there are companies such as Udemy, such as lynda.com, which was recently purchased by LinkedIn, such as Skillshare. These companies are disrupting education. Where before you would have to go to your local community college and take a night class on photography if you wanted to, right? Now you can go to Udemy and find a great class on photography. Whereas before, you might have to take some training at your job or pay some training school to go to an actual location and take classes for weeks at a time to improve, for example, your career potential, your career skills, so you get a better job. Now you can take online courses, so you don't have to attend somewhere, you don't have to physically drive somewhere, you don't have to pay nearly as much. You can attend those courses anywhere, and I mean anywhere. Anywhere you can take your phone, you can be taking an online course, because all these courses are mobile ready. You could take the course on a plane, on a train, in a car, at the bar. Sounding like Dr. Seuss over here. You could take, I should do a poem like that. That would be hilarious. You could take your course at home. You could take your course at work, hopefully on a lunch break or whatnot. You could literally take your course at a much faster speed because your course follows you around everywhere. This is disintermediation at its finest, because now you leave the physical world. You don't have to drive somewhere, you don't have to go somewhere, you don't have to listen to a physical teacher. You can take this course anywhere at any time at your leisure. You pay a lot less for it. You get a lot more value from it because you can learn from the best of the best teachers. You can take this course on your cell phone, on your laptop, on your desktop, on your notepad, on your iPad. You now have complete freedom as to how you take your course and how you advance your skills and your career potential. In fact, if you take a course on Udemy, you can speed up the course at 1.25 or 1.5 or 1.75 or even twice the speed, and you can listen to that instructor's course at a faster speed and gain knowledge at an exponential rate. It's amazing. I've outlined several ways that disintermediation is changing things, is disrupting the world. All of this change is happening, and people don't seem to notice it or see that it's happening. And those that don't see that disintermediation and that technology is disrupting the world are going to be left behind. And those that do and prepare for it are going to succeed. How does that apply to your home business? Well, you've got to find a way to use technology to grow and to build in this direction forward so that those people that start to catch on to that are with you. And you've got to find a way to use technology to build your audience, build your influence online, and build your name recognition over time. That's exactly what I'm doing with this daily hustle. And I often tell people, don't just be a viewer or a consumer, but look at what that person is doing. And if they're being successful, then do what they're doing. Don't just listen to what they're telling you to do, but do what they're doing. So if I were you, I would start a daily video series on the topic that is most near and dear to your heart and start to build your audience over time, because there's going to be so many rewards that come from that. I'll probably do another daily hustle video on that topic as well. Position yourself to take advantage of new technology that's coming up. Always be looking at the horizon. Don't be looking at the now, but look at the horizon and what's coming up. Be on the cutting edge of technology. And today, since we're talking about disintermediation, find ways to be the person who cuts out the middleman. Find ways to be the Uber. Find ways to be the Airbnb. Find ways to be the Udemy. Find ways to be the Lyft. Find ways to be that disintermediary that can make that change and provide something direct to consumers more quickly, more affordably, more organically, and more efficiently, so that they pay you instead of paying somebody who's following the old model. I hope you enjoyed this video on the Daily Hustle. I look forward to talking to you tomorrow.